Greetings everyone and welcome to another episode of First Thoughts. I'm Matt Sella and this is a non-spoiler review for Illumination Studios The Grinch. For those who are new here, I like to give my pros and cons in what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what were my overall thoughts on the film. That being said, what did work for me? Well, surprisingly, I really enjoyed the visual theme here, as well as the musical score. There was something about the whole aesthetics of this film that really reminded me of some of the early Christmas specials you would come home after school to see, roughly around Christmas time, of course. And there was like a certain sense of magicalness, a cheery holiday vibe you got from it. And I thought the animators and the visual artist did a really fantastic job here, as well as a musical composer. I was kind of expecting a generic kids movie kind of vibe from, like, you know, a forgettable score in Secret Life of Pets or those movies. But I think they did a good job capturing that theme. And I will admit there's some parts of the film throughout that kind of has heart to it, which is something I tend to underestimate Illumination Studios having. Granted, not all their films have hearts. Obviously the Minions and Secret Life of Pets, sure, it had some heart, but I'm not talking about that. When I first saw Sing, I didn't see it in theater. I caught it on Netflix and I was expecting, okay, it's a knockoff of Zootopia or whatever, a whole bunch of people are just coming to sing for the theater. But surprisingly, that movie had heart where it counted, and you saw a bit of that in The Grinch as well, and I gotta say, not bad at all. It wasn't well written, and I feel like there could have been more to build upon it, but I guess that ties into what didn't work for me in this movie. And it's not very glaring, so if you're expecting me to hate this movie, subvert your expectations, and I suppose that's what the film did good for me, is that my expectations were pretty low, went in, enjoyed most of it. But there were things that obviously didn't work, that being the overall narrator. Now, I don't really know who did the narration for this film. All I know is that I was kind of underwhelmed. It felt like just a generic guy doing the classic Dr. Seuss Grinch narration voiceover work, which he didn't do a bad job. It's just I was kind of expecting more of like an elderly, wise, maybe a grandfather sort of storyteller, as we got in the previous Dr. Seuss films, I mean. I guess this is supposed to be more like a father is telling the story, I'm guessing, or maybe they just got some popular actor or singer, I don't know. But I really feel like that kind of took me out of the film a little bit at times. Not super bad, of course, but I don't know, just this was a winter Christmas wonderland setting. And I really liked that, but when I just hear this normal dude talking about what the Grinch is up to and why he's so upset, I don't know, it just kind of takes the magic out of it. Other things that didn't work for me were actually more nitpicks and not as bad as I was expecting them to be. Being an Illumination studio, they always seem to have that bumbling comic relief obese character there to like screw up the main character's plans or just cause silly slapstick. But the way they handle it in this movie actually wasn't as glaring as I expected it to be. Not throughout the film, it was just kind of there 1 minute, left for a very good reason, and returns when needed. And I thought they actually did a good job dialing back some of those cliche tropes. And I guess kind of a weird deviation of what didn't work for me. What didn't work for me was the marketing for this movie. I was really expecting a goofy, kind of silly, pandering kids movie. It was like, oh, gee, we're gonna go steal Christmas. And there were other things that bothered me about The Grinch as well. Like the song, the remix song they did for The Grinch, not good. It's very pop culture-y, hip-hop, R&B. I don't know what it was, but it just didn't have that melody. It didn't have that Christmas cool vibe to it. I don't know, it's just too trendy. The marketing was way too trendy, and the song itself said Grinch had yellow teeth, and yet if you see the Grinch's teeth in this movie throughout, this is the cleanest looking Grinch I've ever seen. Overall, what I'm saying is that the marketing really sold it to be some dumb kids movie, but turned out to be something a little bit more heartfelt and more Christmassy than I expected. Other things that didn't work for me is, while yes, I enjoyed the visual theme of Whoville itself, the Christmas vibe and all that stuff, I wasn't quite sold on the Grinch's plight in his house cave thing. Like often, more than not, kind of like how I said his teeth should be yellow but they're pearly white, his cave seemed a little too clean and a little too cheery, despite the fact that he's supposed to be a grouch, depressed, angry hermit. Yeah, I don't know, it was too well upkeeped. It kind of gave me like a different vibe of like who he actually is. I don't know, maybe that's just my preference to the Jim Carrey's Grinch thing. I really like the set designs in that movie. And I like the fact that everything was messy and gloomy where he was. And there wasn't really much of that in this one. And I hate comparing two separate films. For those who know me, I like to judge a movie purely on its own merits. And when it came to this, I was just like, yeah, I'm not buying that he's a messy guy. The song is misleading, I'm sorry. And really the only other thing that bugged me was not so much like glaring as well, but I feel like some of the heart that this movie did have, I felt like it could have been stronger if we gave like maybe 10 to 15 extra minutes to the film to build character relationship and interaction between the Grinch, Cindy Lou, her family, her friends, even the really happy neighbor guy who I thought he was going to be annoying, but I actually kind of like his cheeriness. I'm a sucker for Christmas, so I guess that's why I liked him. Max and Grinch's relationship was pretty solid, but there was like Fred, the obese reindeer who came in, and we thought he was going to be the comic relief character, but actually did have some good relationships between the Grinch and Max. But again, I felt like the film was rushed, and we had to like get to the next story beat so we can trot all this along. I just felt like we needed just a minute or two extra of these characters crossing each other, doing some thinking, because there's seeds there. There are seeds of characters reacting and emoting from each other's actions, and kind of ties into like, well, I like you, or I don't know about you, or maybe there's some hope in you. No, there's no hope in you. Just something to bridge growth. And I think that's what the film would have really benefited from, to make it probably a pretty decent movie. Overall though, I actually give it a thumbs up. If you're into like the whole nostalgia Christmas vibes and things like that, this film is innocent enough. It's inoffensive, in my opinion. You're not really gonna come away from this saying like, oh my god, this is so stupid, kids are gonna get dumb. I wouldn't say go out there and like get like IMAX or real 3D for this. Sure, you could get matinee prices, but an afternoon trip with your kids to watch this holiday film, it's not gonna be much of a loss for you. It's a nice little film talking about being alone on Christmas and all that stuff, and I think it's pretty sweet. Not completely well written, but sweet enough. Also, this is not a spoiler, but I kind of find it a little hilarious that the songs in the movie were classic Christmas songs, some of them including Jesus. I just thought that was kind of funny. In this world, there's a who Jesus. Well, alright. Do with that as you will. It's not a spoiler. Doesn't really affect the story, I just thought it was funny. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my review on The Grinch. Now before we go, be sure to support us if you can on our Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/GameBrosStation. Link in the description below. If you want to check out more reviews just like this one, be sure to check out my playlist here, or if you want to watch something random, click here. And be sure to subscribe. As I like to say everyone, to be continued.